Our presenter, you know, he's always been someone who's approached speaking with a lot of enthusiasm. Scott's a charter member of the Professional Speakers Toastmasters Club, solely focused on helping people become professional paid speakers. We'll be using material from today's presentation to compile his brand speech that he plans to market as a professional speaker. With his session titled 6 Simple Words That Can Change Your Life, please welcome Scott Garver.
Come on in. Take a seat. Want to make sure that everybody has a handout. I left some in the inside seats, so make sure you get one of these and pass them down your row for me, please. And if you need one, I've got extras. Need some more back there? Good morning, fellow Toastmasters.
Good morning.
And if we have any distinguished guests who are not Toastmasters, welcome. In the next 45 minutes, hopefully I get 45 minutes, it's my goal to motivate you to become the power source in your life. Whether you want to run a 5K, be the sales leader in your company, or just have enough more energy to spend quality time with your family in the evening. I'll show you how to implement the 3 E's to drive your success, no matter what your endeavor. How about that drive? I'm not going to talk exactly about all those things, but it'll be similar. Enthusiasm creates excitement, which generates effectiveness. My fiance, who's here in the front row, this gorgeous woman up here, Terry, shared a story with me last May that just may forever change my life. She told me about how her father used 6 simple words that he learned a long time ago to live a long and very successful life. Act enthusiastic, and you'll be enthusiastic. Don now passed away about 8 years ago. I never had the chance to meet him. But I have met each of his 13 kids, of which each of them just gush about how great of a man he truly was. Now, think about it. I heard a gasp there. 13 kids. Some of you are probably thinking, well, I'd love to be a fly on the wall at one of those family reunions, huh? Well, guess what? I'm that fly. And let me tell you, it's a scene, man. How many of you have heard of Schmidt's Bahama Mama sausage, a staple around Columbus? In 1986, Don approached the owners of Schmidt's and told them that he had a vision, and that he wanted to share and market their product across the country in every convenience store, gas station, and supermarket. And on that day, Hot and Spicy Inc. was born and operated out of the basement of his family home. Now, over the course of the next couple years, Don's enthusiasm and vision for this company encouraged 6 of his daughters to drop what they were doing in their careers and join in the ever-growing family business. Now, think about that. 6 girls, 6 sisters for that matter, working in the same office on a daily basis. He must have been insane. And I'm sure he probably thought that to himself several times over the next couple years. Those first couple years for the girls were very lean. And I don't mean the sausages. The girls struggled mightily as they tried to establish sales territories in all different sections of the country. But one ideal remained constant with the girls. One mantra rang true. You see, Don taught each of his 13 kids that in order to be successful, you had to follow this one simple rule. Act enthusiastic and you'll be enthusiastic. He would end each of his sales meetings the same way, by having all of his staff, all of his employees stand up and repeat this mantra along with him. So I want to do that today. I want you all to stand up and repeat this along with, I'm going to say it 3 times. Act enthusiastic and you'll be enthusiastic. Come on. Act enthusiastic and you'll be enthusiastic. Louder. Act enthusiastic and you'll be enthusiastic. Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a seat. Over the course of the last 30 years, this small family-owned business that was literally started from scratch has grown to a $20 million corporation and was just recently sold. And those same 6 girls are now enjoying a very well-deserved retirement. Enthusiasm is the vehicle to drive your success. I didn't realize it, but until I heard those 6 simple words, that I had always been living my life along that same concept of acting enthusiastic. And that I just may have the power to share this message with the world. And by doing that, I can continue on Don Now's legacy. And that even though we never had a chance to have a relationship, we can be connected by those 6 simple words. I want to clear something up before I get too far along. When I talk about the concept of acting enthusiastic, act is not in the vein of an actor portraying a role on stage. I don't want the concept to be perceived as it's faking it or playing a part. This is not a concept of fake it till you make it. Act is short for action, which is a verb. Until we act on our passions, we all have passions, right? Until we take that first step and act on them, they just may remain stagnant inside of us forever. So it's important that we take that step and act on our passions. And what that does is it opens up the power of enthusiasm to grow inside of you. And then you get that feeling of excitement that comes along with that. But that happens by practicing. We have to practice that art of acting enthusiastic throughout our lives. And then once we do that, we inevitably become what we practice. I want to go through a little exercise with you. We're all Toastmasters in here. So I'm sure we all love to come up with speech ideas, topics, right? Give speeches. Scott, yeah, that's what Toastmasters do. I want you to think about something that you're really passionate about and that you would want to give a speech on that topic. Something that you really are passionate about. Take a second to think about that. Does everybody have an idea in their mind? Okay. Now I want you to close your eyes. Trust me. I'm not going to walk by and slap you in the head or anything. Close your eyes. It's the night of your speech. You're taking the stage with confidence after your introduction. You're sharing a personal story or a story about your passion. You start to get really enthusiastic when you see the audience on the edge of your seat, hanging on your every word, really connecting with your message. You start to get excited when you see that enthusiasm spread through the room. And then you hit them with that close, where you give them a call to action, and you share the benefits of answering that call. You start to walk back to your seat. Huge ovation from the crowd and the audience. You sit down. You take a second to recap in your head how effective your message was sent and received by your audience. Okay, open your eyes. I shared that example and that visual as an example of the concept of the 3 E's in action. Enthusiasm creates excitement, which generates effectiveness. By your enthusiasm about your passion, aligning your purpose with your passion, you created that enthusiasm within you. And what did it do when you got in front of the audience and started talking about it? It spread through them too, right? They were picking up what you were putting down. But we've all heard that old adage that enthusiasm is what? Contagious, right. I don't necessarily believe that. I think what's contagious is the feeling of excitement that you get from being enthusiastic, or from seeing somebody giving a presentation that they're really enthusiastic about. It's that feeling that's generated, that excitement about that topic or about that person. The 3 E's concept is also cyclical, and it can be used in any situation. That's why I gave you that handout, the circle. The more enthusiastic you are, the more excited you become, and others around you become. And the more chance you have of being productive, being effective in reaching your goals or your plans, or sending that message. The more effective you are at achieving your goals and your plans, the more enthusiastic you get, right? Which then creates that excitement in you, in your audience, in your teammates, in your customers. They want to support you. They want to buy into your vision. They want to buy your products because they feel that energy and that excitement from you, which in turn makes you more productive and effective. I want to do another exercise. I want you to stand up again. And I want you to turn to your neighbor next to you. Hopefully everybody has somebody to turn to. Okay. And I want you to tell your neighbor, I'm pregnant. Go ahead, say it. I'm pregnant. Say it again. I'm pregnant. I thought that exercise might be difficult for some people. It didn't seem like it. Especially the men in the audience. T.D. Jakes is a world-renowned spiritual teacher, author, and public speaker. And he says that we are all pregnant. Men, women, children. We are all pregnant with possibilities. Pregnant with potential. And pregnant with our passion. Think about over the course of the last 200 years, all of the advancements in industry, inventions, technology, communications, all of these things, all of these advancements have been given birth to by people around us. They've given birth to these ideas. They've given birth to their passion. So many of us are searching outwardly for that thing to help us get through each day or each week or to make us feel worthy. When really, the power to do that and the catalyst for finding what's missing in your life is right here inside of each of you. We've witnessed, we've watched people around us go for it, take that step, act on their passion. My challenge to to each of you going forward is this. Give birth to your passion. Set it free and share it with the world. Now, I want to go through a little exercise to help us get there. What do each of you personally have to be enthusiastic and passionate about? How often do we sit down and think of that? Rarely, right? Well, today is your lucky day. Does everybody have a handout? Where I want you to do a complete mind box. When you read these 3 questions, I want you to dump everything that comes to your mind onto this page. Does everybody have a pen? I got some extra pens up here if you need some. Okay. Are there extra ones back there that you can pass? Okay. Linda, can you pass some pens out for me, please? First question. Who are you? Second, what do you want? And third, why do you want this? So 5 minutes, write down anything that comes to your mind on the page for that. You ready? Starting now. Short, thanks to President Ballrausch, but hey, he's a man. So. One of the things he talked about was that fire analogy. I thought that was a great analogy. To me, passion represents building of the base of your fire. Without a true and a clear understanding of what your true passions are and what you have to be enthusiastic about, you may be nothing more than some dry twigs or sticks that are just in a pile without that ignition, or maybe a weak lighter that you can't even get a spark from. Passion represents the starting point for every great success story that we've ever heard, right? So tell me about some of the stuff you wrote down. Who'd like to volunteer? Who are you? Anyone? All right. You can stand if you want.
My first one is, who are you? I put a Christian, a mother, a spouse, a leader, a daughter, a friend, a mentor, a speaker, a professional, a confidant, an educator, a Toastmaster, a sister, provider, guider, etc.
Wow. Wow. Okay, that's good. Thank you so much. That's a lot of stuff. Anybody else? What do you want? Can anybody tell me what they want?
Peace.
Okay.
America. Peace and love for the world.
Peace, America. Gene, what did you have?
I said I'm a servant for who I am.
Okay.
I want peace as well.
Awesome. A lot of peaceful folks in here. Yes, ma'am.
I want to change lives through speaking and my life.
Cool. You and me both.
I want to start a consulting company.
Awesome. So that, under what question did that come out?
That's under what you want.
What do you want?
I thought that.
Why do you want that?
I have a long list. But I want to be able to keep my mind active, and I love to be with people, and I want to be engaged with other people and have a mastery over my time.
Awesome. Great. I worked for the state of Ohio for 13 years. And I started out. What was that? Oh, yeah, that's kind of how I started out completely at the bottom of the ladder as an account clerk's payables clerk. After my first year, I had my annual performance evaluation from my boss, Carla. I still remember it to this day. And she said, after a glaring review, of course, she said, "Scott, what is your goal?" And I said, "I want to be in your job." And she looked at me with this smug scowl on her face and said, "Boy, you're not in any hurry, are you? What makes you think you can do this job?" Over the course of my first 10 years, I got promoted what seemed like every couple of years into a new position. with more responsibility, more people to supervise, more accounts and more funds to be responsible for budgeting and accounting for. Until I reached the position and was promoted to the position of Chief Financial Officer for the Ohio Department of Commerce, and was responsible for a budget of $1 billion. Not 1 billion. It was seriously $1 billion. All through that time, through all of those fancy titles and uber amounts of authority, I still felt like I was always searching for something to bring me joy and satisfaction in my career. Wes Moore is a New York Times best-selling author who wrote a book called The Work, where he says that in order to find joy, you can't find it through your occupation. You find it through your work. I'll say that again. You can't find joy through your occupation or your job. You find it through the work that you do. Wow, I said that twice because when I read it, I was taken aback and I had to read it a couple of times just to let it sink in. Because that totally wasn't me. I was all about adding the next promotion and title and getting more money and yeah, I'm going up the ladder. And I never really thought that who I was at my core, that's what I was all about, was service to others, that work of serving others. Wes goes on to say that service is finding that thing that makes your heart beat a little faster. That's deep, isn't it? I've had that feeling several times over my career, but I never really took a chance to take a step back and say, man, that's what it's all about. It's that service. That's where you get your true joy from. The best way to help ourselves is through helping others. I read something recently about climbing the ladder, and when you don't want to get to the top of the ladder and find out that it was leaning up against the wrong wall. That was me, folks. I did all that climbing and then I realized that it wasn't about all that stuff. That wasn't the stuff that could bring me that joy and satisfaction. So how do we figure that out? How do we know that we're climbing the right ladder and that it's up against the right wall? If you are experiencing joy in the work that you do, in the service that you do, then that's what it's all about. That is your internal GPS. If you're feeling that joy on a daily basis, going in and doing what you're doing, you are on the right path that all the rest of us are trying to get on. Right? So, I went through a process about 4 years ago where I sat down and made a list of the top 5 things in my life that I was passionate about. And soon after that, I was approached with an opportunity to be a team leader for the Central Ohio Heart Walk. And as a realization, I realized that number 1 on my list was helping others. So I raised my hand. Billy's familiar with this from a presentation she's done in the past. I raised my hand, put myself out there as a leader. Said, yeah, I'll do it. Now, one of the things you would never find on my list of passions is fundraising. I was always frightened. Oh, wait, scratch that. Scared to death to ask people for money. I mean, you hear the whole pulling teeth analogy, or that was me. I literally felt like I was asking people for their teeth when I asked them for $10 or $15 to help out my cause. But here I go, right in the middle of the throes of a fundraising challenge. That first year, I struggled mightily with the concept of asking people to help out my cause. And then I realized that maybe that I could use my leadership skills to help people understand the importance of living a heart-healthy lifestyle And then maybe they would buy into my concept and support my team. Leadership was number 2 on my list of passions. I had also been very active in exercise and enjoyed healthy cooking. Those were both passions of mine as well. And then it hit me that as I started doing some research on my family history, I had lost 3 grandparents to complications from heart disease. And my father had heart surgery 10 years ago. So my story and my experiences have always been connected to this cause. If only I had a platform to be able to share my stories and my experiences about this cause. Cue passion number 5, Toastmasters and public speaking. Over the course of those 3 years in 2014, by weaving all 5 of my passions into one purpose, I was able to raise over $1,000 that first year, which was double my initial goal. Going from somebody who didn't think I'd raise $10. They actually, the website had a cap or set the goal for me of $500. I didn't think I'd come anywhere near that. The second year, I set a goal of $1,000 and was able to raise $2,000. And this past year, I went from 27 donors in 2014 to 106 donors, over $3,000 that I raised this past year. Thank you. Now, Brad, I'm just saying, when you can align a purpose with any of your passions, you can create great things, even if you start out thinking that there's no way it's possible. But you have to take that step. You have to act. So let's do another exercise. I want to take another 5 minutes, and the back of that same page, I want you to just do another complete mind dump onto the page. What you think about when you think about what you're most passionate about in your life. You ready? We'll start now.
I want to start a Christian ministry for the homeless and the people who come out homeless. That's what
I'm passionate about helping others in post.
Great. You got a lot in common. Anyone else like to share before we move on? Yes.
I'm passionate about the African mercy and the role of specific fire instead of generalized leadership.
Wow. That's great laser focus there.
What was it?
TJ,
Couldn't hear back here.
What's that?
She say? Couldn't hear.
you want to stand up and say hi?
I'm passionate about going to spend 2 years on the African Mercy, which is a ship that provides surgery to the people in Africa. I spent 3 months there, and I'm hoping to retire and go back and dedicate several years of my life to doing that.
TJ, all the way in the back. Way to stay engaged, TJ.
Yeah, everybody. I'm passionate about the outdoors, about science, about water. Perfect day for me. It's Earth Day. That's my passion. I try and, Scott knows, all my speeches seem to be about water and the environment and recycling. So that's what I'm passionate about.
All right, going forward, I have a homework assignment for you. What do we do now that we have a concept of what our true passion is? We've spent roughly 10 minutes thinking about that, which is probably more than we've spent in the last 5 years, if that. So what do we do now with that information? First thing I want you to do is laser focus on your list and narrow it down to your top 5 things. Pick the top 5 things off of the information that you put on your paper and make a list of those. And I actually gave you a sheet on the back of your first sheet. You can do that if you want to get started right now. Second thing I want you to do is transfer that list of 5 things onto something small. I like to call it a goal card. A note card is something you can keep with you, put in your pocket, or in your purse, or even hang up on your computer screen at work. Transfer those 5 things over to something small that you could reference on a daily or at least a weekly basis, so that those passions are clear in your mind. And lastly, and most importantly, any goals or plans that you set for the future, make sure that they are in line with at least one of your passions. Okay? So let's summarize what we talked about today. I gave you 6 simple words that you can use on a daily basis as a mantra to ignite that fire of enthusiasm within you. Then we talked about the 3 E's and how you can use that in almost anything that you're working on to keep that focus and excitement in the work that you're doing in your life. And lastly, we went through an exercise where we put all of the things on paper that we're passionate about, and now we have a plan going forward of how we can start to implement those into our daily lives to bring more joy and satisfaction to our lives and work. I want to leave you with this. I was in my kitchen the other morning, going through my normal morning routine, making my greens drink, doing something healthy to start off my day, right? And all of a sudden, all of these thoughts just started rushing to my head about the abundance of positivity that's in my life now, since I started focusing my enthusiasm on my passion. Enthusiasm opens you up to a totally more positive plane, where the clouds start to dissipate. And you can see that beautiful blue sky and rays of sunshine beaming down. You're more awake, free in the moment. Thoughts rush to your head about what you can do with your passions and how you can start applying them in your daily lives. It truly is the law of attraction. When you open yourself up to the power of positivity that's inside of you, stop searching outwardly for that thing to bring you joy and satisfaction in your day, when really it's all right here inside of each of us. We each have that power source already inside of us. Fellow Toastmasters, are you ready to join the next big movement in America? Remember these 6 simple words. Say them with me. Act enthusiastic and you'll be enthusiastic. Act enthusiastic and you'll be enthusiastic. One more. Act enthusiastic and you'll be enthusiastic. Thank you so much, folks. Have a great conference. The last page of your handouts that I gave you, I would love, as I mentioned in the introduction, I'm trying to market this concept and this is what I've shared with you today as a brand. And I would love to hear any feedback from all of you that you would have about what you liked, what you didn't like, what I could do. And also, if you happen to be in the looking out for a professional speaker for some event or conference or anything that's coming up, my website is there too. It's speakerleaders.com. So feel free to hit me up at some point the rest of the conference, and I would appreciate any feedback that you got. Thank you so much for being here.